The next generation of Formula One cars isn't coming to reward talent the way most fans think. In fact, when the 2026 regulations arrive, some of the most instinctive, naturally gifted drivers on the grid could suddenly look ordinary. And if that sounds impossible, here's the uncomfortable truth. The very instincts that made many drivers fast in the current era may become liabilities. Except for one driver who has quietly been preparing for this shift his entire life. Everyone assumes raw feel is unbeatable in Formula One. The ability to sense grip, react instantly and improvise on the limit has been romanticized for decades. But 2026 is not designed for improvisation. It's designed for discipline, precision, and something far less glamorous: restraint. And that's where things start to get dangerous for instinct drivers. Because buried inside the 2026 technical framework is a fundamental philosophical shift. Less downforce, less drag, active aerodynamics, smaller, lighter cars, a 50-50 power split between internal combustion and electrical deployment, and most importantly, a narrower operating window where mistakes won't just cost lap time, they'll collapse the entire lap. But here's what almost nobody is talking about: the drivers who rely on instinctive correction, the micro slides, the last millisecond saves, the "I'll fix it on entry" style, are about to lose the safety net that makes that driving possible. And the data already hints at who will struggle. Right now, modern F1 cars mask instinctive overdriving. Massive ground effect downforce generates grip even when the car is being abused. Drivers can lean on the aero, lean on the floor, and still extract lap time while sliding slightly. Engineers tolerate it because the lap time is there. But the 2026 cars won't forgive that behaviour. According to FIA technical briefings released alongside the 2026 framework, total downforce is expected to drop by roughly 30% compared to current generation cars, while drag will be cut by nearly 55%. That's not just a numbers change, it's a behavioural change. Lower downforce means less margin. Less margin means every instinctive correction costs energy, and energy in 2026 is no longer infinite. For the first time in modern F1, drivers will be managing not just tyres and brakes, but active aero modes and energy harvesting with near constant consequence. Deploy too aggressively. You arrive at the next straight powerless. Slide the rear to rotate the car. You've just wasted electrical energy that you can't recover until the next braking phase. And here's the uncomfortable part. Instinct drivers slide more than they realize, even the best of them. Telemetry analysis shared anonymously by engineers in the paddock has already shown that drivers with aggressive entry styles generate higher transient energy loss during corner rotation. In the current cars, it's manageable. In 2026, it becomes visible. Painfully visible. This is where the grid starts to split. Some drivers drive by feel, others drive by control, some react, others preempt. And one driver has built an entire career around eliminating corrections before they're needed. But before we get there, ask yourself this: why do some drivers look spectacular when the car is unstable, yet struggle when precision is required? Because instinct is a response. And 2026 punishes response time. Active aerodynamics means the car's behavior is no longer purely mechanical. The driver isn't just reacting to grip, they're managing a system. Front wing states, rear wing states, energy deployment phases. It's closer to flying a jet than wrestling a cart. And instinct drivers, they thrive when chaos gives them something to react to. But what happens when chaos drains your battery? Here's where the pressure escalates. Multiple teams have already admitted, quietly, that simulator testing for 2026 concepts has revealed something alarming. Drivers who are fastest over a single qualifying lap are not the most efficient over race distance. And efficiency in 2026 is lap time. One senior engineer, quoted by Autosport, described the new driving challenge like this: "The fastest lap is no longer the best lap. The best lap is the one that leaves you something for the next one." That statement alone should worry half the grid, because Formula One has spent the last decade selecting drivers based on aggression, instinct, and highlight reel car control. Now it's shifting toward cognitive load management. And not everyone adapts at the same speed. Think about it. When grip drops, instinct says push harder. When energy drops, instinct says compensate. But the car doesn't respond emotionally. It responds mathematically. And math doesn't care how good your instincts are. Now here's the part where fans usually interrupt and say, but the great drivers always adapt. True, but adaptation's speed matters. And this is where the story narrows to one uncomfortable comparison. Because while most drivers learned to tame power-heavy cars in the hybrid era, one driver learned to survive them as a teenager. Before entering Formula One, Max Verstappen drove cars that punished excess input brutally. No power steering, violent torque delivery, minimal aero support. Mistakes weren't corrected, they were amplified. His early years weren't about reacting. They were about preventing situations from developing at all. That's a fundamentally different mental model. In modern F1, many drivers enter a corner planning to adjust mid-corner. Verstappen enters with the exit already solved. That's not poetry, it's telemetry. Multiple Red Bull engineers have confirmed that Verstappen makes fewer steering corrections per corner than any other driver they've worked with. Not because he's slower, because he's more precise, and precision is exactly what 2026 demands. Here's the irony nobody talks about. Instinct drivers look incredible when saving slides, but every save is proof of inefficiency. And in 2026, inefficiency is exposed immediately. Imagine this scenario: you rotate the car aggressively into turn 6. The rear steps out slightly, you catch it, the crowd cheers, but you've just scrubbed speed, overheated the rears, and wasted electrical deployment that won't regenerate until heavy braking. Now imagine doing that 20 times per lap. Now imagine your teammate doesn't. That's the gap, and it gets worse because the new regulations also reduce tyre wake sensitivity, meaning drivers can follow closer. That sounds good until you realize it removes another instinct driver advantage. Clean air exaggerates mistakes. Dirty air used to hide them. 2026 exposes everything. At this point, some fans might be thinking, so who exactly is in danger? Here's where things get uncomfortable and controversial. Drivers whose style relies on rotation through entry aggression, late braking corrections, and mid-corner adjustment are statistically more likely to struggle early in the 2026 era. That doesn't mean they'll fail, it means they'll need time. And time is the one thing championship teams won't have. Meanwhile, drivers who already operate with low correction profiles, minimal slip angles, and predictive throttle application are already aligned with the philosophy of the new cars. This is why Red Bull insiders aren't worried about 2026. And yes, that should scare everyone else. Because while teams are still debating power unit competitiveness, one driver is already driving like the future arrived early. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this breakdown and you're still watching, there's a good chance you're the kind of fan who actually likes understanding why things happen in Formula One. So if you want more of these deep dives that go beyond lap times and headlines, you know what to do, no pressure, just saying. Now let's raise the stakes even further. Because the political side of 2026 makes this even more brutal. Manufacturers are entering with vastly different power unit philosophies. Energy deployment strategies will vary wildly in the early years. That means drivers won't just be adapting to new cars, they'll be compensating for weaknesses. Instinct drivers tend to compensate with aggression. Control drivers compensate with efficiency. Guess which one scales better over a season? And here's the hidden consequence no one is ready for. Teammate gaps are about to explode. In stable regulations, gaps compress. In disruptive regulations, they widen. And when the cars are unforgiving, the driver who needs fewer corrections gains lap time everywhere. This isn't about bravery, it's about mental bandwidth. The 2026 car asks drivers to manage more variables than ever before. Instinct fills gaps when systems are simple. When systems become complex, instinct becomes noise. And Max Verstappen thrives in low-noise environments. He doesn't drive emotionally, he doesn't chase the car, he doesn't rescue laps. He constructs them. That's why when others slide, he looks calm. When others fight, he looks bored. When others react, he's already moved on. And that's why 2026 doesn't scare him. It scares everyone else because this regulation reset isn't neutral. It favors a specific cognitive style, a specific way of thinking, a specific way of driving. And most drivers were trained for the opposite. The terrifying part, the advantage compounds. Every lap saved through efficiency preserves tyres. Preserved tyres preserve energy. Preserved energy preserves race strategy. And suddenly, a 2/10 advantage becomes a pit window advantage, then a championship advantage. By the time others adapt, it might already be over. So when fans ask, who will benefit from 2026? The answer isn't the loudest, it isn't the flashiest, it isn't the most instinctive, it's the driver who needs instinct the least. And if that doesn't change how you look at the next era of Formula One, it probably should. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think instinctive drivers will adapt faster than expected? Or is 2026 about to expose a gap we've never seen before? Drop your take in the comments. That debate is just getting started. And if you want to continue this story, there's another video on the channel where we break down how the 2026 regulations could reshape driver hierarchies entirely. Not just at the front, but across the grid. Watch that next. This era is about to get very uncomfortable for a lot of people.